In this video, let us see how to crochet this beautiful twisted headband. So let's get started. Hey guys, welcome to DIY Crafts. For this project, I am using a 5-ply wool plus acrylic blend yarn with a 3.5 mm crochet hook. Now let's begin with a slip knot and then we'll do the foundation chain. So make a loop as shown in the video, and from the center of the loop, make a slip knot. Now adjust the loop and start making a foundation chain. For this pattern, you don't have to check the actual count of number of chains. It usually follows the head circumference measurement. So if you check the video, I have made the foundation chain that measures approximately 21.5 inches, whereas I did not put any count on the number of chains, and whereas my head circumference is 24 inches. So with a little bit of stretch on this foundation chain, it will fit my head perfectly. So for 24 inches, here I have made only the foundation chain up to 21 inches measurement. Now let's start making the pattern. So skip the first chain from the hook and insert your needle onto the top loop of the second chain as shown in the video. Now yarn over and drop a loop. Now you have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and draw the yarn through both the loops. So that's a single crochet. That's the first single stitch, and now repeat the same steps in each and every chain. So insert the crochet hook into the chain, drop a loop, yarn over and then make a single crochet, and repeat this single crochet stitches in each and every chain throughout the row until you reach the first chain. And likewise, by the end of the first row, you will have single crochet stitches in each and every chain throughout the row until the last chain. And by the way, if you are an absolute beginner and you have difficulty identifying the stitches, put your stitch marker onto the top of the first single crochet whenever you start a new row. So here that's the first single stitch, and I put a stitch marker in that stitch. So that stitch marker will help you to identify the first stitch of each and every row. So here I am making the last single stitch of the first row, and if you see, you will have all the single crochet stitches in your first row with equal height and equal size, and there is the stitch marker. Now let's start making the second row. Chain 1 and turn your work. Now insert the hook into both the loops of the single crochet, yarn over and drop a loop, and now make a single stitch. So this is the first single stitch in your second row. So put a stitch marker to mark the beginning of the second row. These stitch markers will help us to put a count and make sure that we are not skipping the last stitches. And now from the second stitch onwards, we are going to work only in the back loops. What does back loop means? So let me explain. For every stitch, we will have the front and the back loop. The front loop is the one which is in front of you, and the back loop is the one that is on the back side of the stitch. So for the second row, the first stitch we have made in the entire stitch, and from the second stitch onwards, we have to put the needle only into the back loops, leaving the front loop. So that way it will give you a nice ribbed texture. So insert the hook only into the back loop and drop a loop, and then make a single crochet as usual. Again, in the next stitch, put your needle into the back loop and then make one single stitch. And continue to make this pattern till the end and leave the last stitch. Now if you see, all the front loops which we are leaving while making these single crochet stitches will form a line in between the row 1 and row 2. And this line will give you a nice ribbing texture for your headband. Now continue to make back loop only single crochet stitches until you reach the first stitch marker. So here we have the last 2 stitches. I have made the first back loop only single stitch, and this is the stitch marker that marks the beginning of the first stitch of the previous row. So in this particular stitch, we have to put the needle into both the loops. So remove the stitch marker, insert the hook into the entire stitch, that is both front and back loops, and then make a single crochet as usual. So the first and last stitches will have the stitch in both front and back loops, whereas the rest of the stitches will be worked only in the back loops. This way the edges will look neat. Then chain 1 and turn your work, and let's start making the third row. Insert the needle into both the loops to make the first single crochet of the third row, and again do not forget to put the stitch marker back, as this helps to identify the last stitch while working the next row. And now from the second stitch onwards, remember you have to work only in the back loops. So insert your needle into the back loop and then make a single stitch. And then continue the same pattern throughout the row until you reach the stitch marker on the other side. So that is the red one which we have marked as a first stitch of your second row. So likewise the third row will be completed with all the back loop only single stitches until the last stitch. And now let me show you how to complete this third row and go to the fourth row. This is the same one row repeat pattern. Whatever pattern we have made for the second row, we are going to do the same thing for rest of the rows, and you can continue the band until the required width of your headband. So here we are about to complete the third row, so that's the last back loop only single stitch. Now remove the stitch marker, put your needle in both front and back loops of the last stitch and then make a single stitch. So that's the third row. Now chain 1, turn your work, put your needle into the full stitch and then make a single stitch. Again for the fourth row, you have to put a stitch marker at the beginning to mark the first stitch. And now again from the second stitch, you will continue doing the back loop only single crochet until the last stitch, and in the last stitch you will do the normal regular single stitch, and then the pattern keep on repeating until you have the required width of your headband. Here I am making the last couple of single crochet stitches, and currently I am working in the 12th row. Here in the video I actually forgot to put the needle in both the loops of the last stitch, but you do not make that mistake. In the last and first stitches, make sure you put your needle into entire stitch. So once your project is having enough width, chain 1 and then trim the excess thread, leaving a long tail end, and we are going to use this tail end to give the texture for the twisted headband shape. Now pull the tail end out of the last chain 1 to make a knot. If you wanted a wider headband, you can increase the number of rows, but make sure you work them in an even number. Now let's fold the project in half as shown in the video to give the headband shape. Now take both the halves in as shown in the video and place them next to each other. Now arrange it in such a way that the foundation chain will come at the fifth row of the other side of the headband, and then fold it as shown in the video, like it forms a little C shapes on both the sides. And now take the finishing tail end into the tapestry needle, and we are going to sew all of this together. For that, take the finishing tail end into the tapestry needle and join all the panels as shown in the video. Insert the needle through all the layers and then pass the yarn through all the panels. And now from bottom to top, pass the needle again so that the joint will be formed throughout the band. And if you wanted to make sure and have a strong join, you can repeat the same process all over from back to forth, so that it will give you a nice strong join at the center of your headband. And once it is done, secure the join by making a couple of knots, and then insert the excess tail end into the project, like weave in the ends and then trim the excess thread close to the project. And now repeat the same thing with the starting tail end as well. Take the tail end into the tapestry needle, weave in the tail end and then trim the excess thread close to the project, but make sure you do not trim the threads from any of the single crochet stitches. Once it is done, twist the join inwards so that it will give you a twisted knot like look at the front, and with that you have made yourself a cute looking twisted headband. I hope you all enjoyed watching this tutorial. Do give this pattern a try and let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. The written pattern for this project is given in the description. Do check it out. Don't forget to share your work to me on Instagram. See you all in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please like the video, share it and subscribe to DIY Crafts.